In the opening scene, we see a beachside and children taking photos of deposits from the sea, which include rock, coral beads, plants, and the like. We also see C.C. Carmichael, a small-town photographer who owns a local newspaper. She hurries her students to wrap up their photography class and head home before it gets dark. She calls on her friend, Penny McCall, who works with her as the editor of the newspaper called Herald. C.C. asks Penny to prepare herself in preparation to go track down Max, the dog that is always stealing boots and other items belonging to people in the neighborhood. They follow the tracking device kept in a boot set as bait for Max. They find the dog in Mrs. Rogers' shed. Upon seeing Max, C.C. takes a photo of the dog holding a snowman and then places a call to Abigail. Mr. Otto Calloway walks into the office to meet his son, Sam, the only child and the VP of Acquisitions of Calloway Development. He hands a gift he has been meaning to give Sam with the hopes that it is not too soon. Otto thanks Sam for making him a proud father and accepting to work with him. Sam gets emotional seeing a photograph of him and his best friends in army uniforms. Just then, Ella, Sam's cousin, walks in, mocking Sam's dress, and hands him a letter with an elephant insignia. Upon skimming through the letter, Sam excuses himself from Ella and his dad. Abigail, the owner of a B&B in Harmony Bay, grabs her pet dog Max and thanks C.C. for finding him. C.C. takes a photograph of Abigail and her pet. She then sees an unhappy little girl. She hands her camera to Abigail to find out why the little one looks unhappy. The little girl complains of misplacing her stuffed Rudolph the previous day. Luckily, Penny finds it and throws it to C.C., who passes it on to the little girl, whose face suddenly lights up in a bright smile. C.C. and Penny stand admiring her as she walks away excitedly. Meanwhile, Mrs. Rogers and Abigail watch the situation with admiration. At C.C.'s photography studio, she takes snapshots of an old couple. Mr. Benson recounts how he first met with his wife. Moments later, C.C. heads to the office and shares some cookies she got from the couple with Penny and other colleagues. She sits down admiring the photos of Max holding a snowman in the Herald's newspaper when her stepmother Vivian walks in, complaining about her taking photos of dogs after obtaining 2 degrees. She thanks Vivian, who gave her a box containing a drumming Santa she found in the attic while cleaning. C.C. turns on the power button and the toy Santa's eyes turn red as it drums. Penny shrieks in fear, requesting C.C. to get it off the table. Later, C.C. gets a text from Mrs. Jones, the mother of one of her students. She asks Penny to look after her father's toy while she heads to Willow Glen in search of a student's phone. On getting to Willow Glen, C.C. calls Penny to inform her that the kid had his phone with him all the while. She suddenly sees Sam, who is riding into Willow Glen on a bike. C.C. confirms from Penny if she knows anyone with a bike in Willow Glen when Sam accidentally drives off the road. Immediately, she tells Penny to call for help as she runs to the accident scene. Sam loses balance and lands on the floor. C.C. pleads with him not to try getting off his helmet as she learned from school. She requests he keep calm and just keep talking to her until help comes. She tries to follow all she was taught in school on how to handle an accident before the arrival of an ambulance. Sam sees the elephant pendant she's wearing, and he asks about the necklace she's wearing. Then he asks her to marry him just in case he survives the accident. And if he doesn't, he will be glad he perished in the hands of a beautiful woman. C.C. thinks it's probably just a random talk due to the accident, so she makes the promise, and Sam loses consciousness almost immediately. Later, C.C. reveals what transpired between her and the man who introduces himself as Sam, and reveals she doesn't know what his face looks like because of his helmet. Penny gets worked up on finding out C.C. made a promise to a man she doesn't even know, and not just any promise but to marry him. She believes C.C. was just smitten by his leather jacket and crazy driving skills. Then C.C. goes to deliver a burger. On C.C.'s way from the burger shop, she sees Max with another boot, so she takes it away from him and carries it along with her. She arrives at the hospital and gives Brenda her boot. However, Max runs off with the burger. C.C. asks about the patient that was brought in the previous day, and Brenda complains about how his team has been calling to ensure he gets the best treatment. She directs C.C. to the patient's room. C.C. gets to the room and drops all she got for him when a message from Sam's dad pops up. C.C. reads the message and runs out of the room, intentionally avoiding Sam as Brenda pushes the wheelchair he's sitting on back into his room. The next morning, C.C. heads to Abigail's B&B to deliver the photos of Max she took the previous day. C.C. reveals she's being nosy and would like to find out if Sam Calloway is lodging in her B&B, because she's suspicious of him driving into Willow Glen. Abigail reveals Sam stopped by to check in. She finds it strange that after checking into the lodge he would go to Willow Glen almost immediately. At the hospital, Sam tries to get Brenda to remember the person who brought in the elephant pillows and smoothie from Sally. Brenda claims to be unaware of the person. Just then, Sam's cousin, Ella, walks in and she complains of not finding a decent meal in Harmony Bay. She pleads with Sam to leave with her. Sam refuses but promises to be back when he's better. Ella sarcastically says she is leaving to give some privacy to him and the drink he calls the love of his life. Back at the office, C.C. reveals her findings to Penny. Sam is the only child of Otto Calloway and the VP of Acquisitions of Calloway Development. C.C. fears that he might be in Harmony Bay to acquire some land from Willow Glen. Besides, the text she read from his phone implies so. She suggests to Penny that they should go meet him and question why he is in their town. She expects Penny to decline, but to her surprise, Penny reminds her they are a newspaper, so they should go just in case there's a story to write. They arrive at the hospital a few minutes later. Cece takes off her necklace so he won't recognize her, because he only saw her necklace through his helmet. A few moments after their little discussion outside, Penny and Cece start questioning and taking notes regarding Sam's purpose in Harbor Bay. However, Sam doesn't reveal as much as they expect, so Cece probes him with more direct questions. He insists there's no story to write, but he'd appreciate it if they could write something about the Good Samaritan who came to his rescue wearing an elephant necklace, because he would like to thank her for dropping gifts. He reveals that she's like a ghost because no one saw her coming in or out of his hospital room, and also he'd likes to redeem the promise she made to him. Cece and Penny step out after the interview and Sam moves to the window watching them leave. Cece suspects he might have recognized her because of his continuous stare. Penny, on the other hand, thinks he might just be into her, and they suspect he might be watching from the window. Cece pretends to lace her shoe and stylishly checks to see if he is truly watching. Ella joins her cousin asking if he knows the ladies he's watching. He reveals that he thinks Cece saved his life, but she isn't wearing the elephant necklace which she said she never takes off her neck. Ella wonders if it has anything to do with the letter he received. Meanwhile, upon seeing that Sam is engaged in a discussion with someone, the ladies run off and Penny asks about the promise Cece made to Sam. Cece tries to defend her actions, that he was losing consciousness and she was just saying anything to keep him awake. At the Herald office, Penny reveals that Sam Calloway's story is stirring some waves with the people and they seem to love a good mystery. She just got a 4th email and people are making suggestions. She suggests Cece just spill the truth to Sam because she feels a bit dishonest knowing it was Cece who saved his life, and she didn't include it in the article. Cece confesses she could, but then she remembers the proposal and she might just be jumping to conclusions. She reminds Penny of when Vivian came by with the bongo Santa, claiming she found it while cleaning up the attic. She thinks Vivian is trying to sell her father's house because she never cleans anything. So she draws up a conclusion that if Vivian is planning on selling the house, she might also want to sell her share of Willow Glen if there's truly an offer to buy. Penny notices Sam staring at them through the display glass. She calls Cece's attention to him watching them. Sam smiles broadly watching the ladies scamper around in an attempt to hide her face in her ridiculous Christmas costume. Later, they allow Sam in and he reveals that he wants to confirm if they have gotten any leads on who his savior is. Penny reads a notification from a reader who suggests Sam's heroine might be his neighbor's shape-shifting cat. Right about then her husband Ryan walks in, and Penny hugs him, introducing Sam to her husband. Penny heads out with her husband to grab some lunch and Sam suggests they stop at Sally's. Hopefully, she might just know who his rescuer is. Penny gives Cece a bewildered stare for supporting Sam's suggestion. Then she laughs, suddenly realizing that Sam is watching her. She bids them goodbye and follows her husband. Sam invites Cece to join him for lunch. On their way out, Mr. and Mrs. Benson walk into Harold's and Cece introduces Sam to them. Mrs. Benson informs Sam that she read his story and she hopes he finds whoever saved him with the clue he provided. Mr. Benson suddenly tries to spill Cece's secret since she has an elephant necklace, and his wife cuts him midway, reminding him that they brought the tree fee to give Cece, even though she's not doing Christmas Eve this year. The old couple hand her the cash, revealing they want to help others at Christmas and they believe she will get it to the right hands, and if she changes her mind, she can just put them down for a regular tree. Cece appreciates their kind gesture, bidding them goodbye. Cece and Sam walk down to a restaurant. Sam asks about the event she's hosting that makes people give her money. Cece sarcastically says she hypnotized the whole town to give her money, but she later reveals it is just a Christmas Eve party she started with her father some years back. Instead of cutting down trees, they decorate the ones outside. Along the line, people join them and they donated the money they would have paid for cutting a tree to those who are in need. However, she won't be hosting the party this Christmas. Sam finds it interesting that the whole town honors it. They arrive at Sally's place, and Sam is surprised that Sally isn't a woman but a man. Sally reveals to Sam that Sally is short for Salvador. Cece introduces Sam and Salvador remembers the story from the article. He wishes him luck in finding his savior. Sam informs him of the treats he received from Sally's store some days back, and he would like to find out if Sally knows who bought those stuff from him. Sally looks at Cece, who shakes her head, insinuating he says nothing about her. Sally claims they get very busy at lunch so he wouldn't know who purchased those items. He offers to get them something, urging them to go take a seat. He then gives Cece his donations, and then one from a certain good-for-nothing Angelo. Getting to their seats, Sam questions why Angelo is good for nothing, and Cece reveals they call him that because he had the nerve to marry Sally's baby sister, after her brothers decided that nobody would be good enough to marry her. Still, he's a good guy and everyone loves him, but he will be forever known as good for nothing. He asks Cece questions about the event and she switches the questioning session over to him. She asks if he has plans on developing something in Harmony Bay, especially in Willow Glen. Sam refuses to give any information because he cannot discuss his company's dealings with her. Cece stands up pissed, and she promises to fight him over Willow Glen to ensure he doesn't get Vivian's or her half of the property. She comes back, grabs her portion that she got served and walks away. The next morning at Abigail's B&B, Sam is in his room going through the letter with Max by his side. Cece is downstairs taking photos of Abigail, and Abigail reveals how impressed she is with everyone in town for not ratting her out to her guest, who is searching for the person who saved him. She confesses to Cece that if Sam offers a $5 reward, her subterfuge would be over in 15 seconds. Cece claims to be ignorant of what she's trying to insinuate as she focuses on the photoshoot session, when Max comes running to join in the photoshoot. Soon, Sam comes downstairs, and he informs the ladies that he's going to check on his motorcycle's progress. Cece whispers to Abigail that she thought Sam was out already. Just then, Sam comes back asking if they've seen the second piece of his boots. The ladies stare at each other knowing it's Max's handiwork. A few minutes later, Cece finds the boot in Mrs. Rogers' shed, a place where Max hides the shoes he picks up. Mrs. Rogers joins them, bringing some cookies with her. She hands some cookies to Sam, wishing him luck in finding his guardian angel. Mrs. Rogers hands her donation to Cece. She also suggests to Sam that he might want to consider sweetening the pots, because someone out there knows something about his guardian angel, and a little incentive might just bring that person. Sam smiles and appreciates her suggestion as she walks out of the shed. He shares the cookie with Cece, who refuses at first, but later joins him. He apologizes to her and explains that he is not trying to buy Willow Glen, but he is interested in a project much closer to the highway. The reason he didn't want to talk about it is because he's not even certain his father would sanction it. Cece accepts his apology. Since she is convinced he's not interested in her family's property, she joins him in enjoying the cookies. Cece and Sam get back to the Herald's office, and Penny informs him that she hasn't made any progress with his search, because all the comments she has been getting are stemming from the people enjoying the mystery behind the story. Sam, who seems to be enjoying his stay, informs Penny that he's going to be around for some days while waiting for his motorcycle to be fixed, so she's got more time. Vivian walks in and reveals she found some photos in the attic, and she thinks Cece might need them. She hands Cece the box containing the photos and walks away, ignoring Sam's presence. Sam requests to know if she's the one he's in cahoots with, and Cece confesses Vivian might not be selling to him, but she thinks Vivian is definitely up to something. The next day, Sam steps into Cece's section for photography inside the Herald. He sees that everywhere is a beehive of activities as lots of clients are getting dressed up for their photoshoot sessions. He opts to leave and come back later unless Cece wouldn't mind having an assistant. She invites him to join her, and Sam spends a greater part of the day assisting her through the sessions with each client. At the end of the sessions, he praises her skills and invites her to dinner at Sally's. Cece reminds him there are other restaurants in Harmony Bay aside from Sally's. She invites him to join her at a school later, a Christmas PJ event where kids will be writing letters to Santa and she could use some extra hands. Sam promises to be there. The two stare at each other's eyes with smiles that seem as though something is unconsciously brewing before they bid themselves bye. At the school's event, children are running up and down writing letters and putting them into Santa's mailbox. Penny hands a drink to Cece as they make their way to sit down. Sam approaches them in a bear hoodie PJ. The kids stare at him in awe because he looks different. This makes him think he misunderstood the assignment, but Cece thinks otherwise. She compliments his effort in putting the outfit together. She drags him along with her so they can get their work started. Later on, Sam reveals his initial aspirations to become a teacher, but he switches after realizing that children can be terrifying and smart. The little girl Cece helped to find her Rudolph comes asking why Cece is not wearing her Christmas elephant necklace, seeing that there's no escape from the situation. Cece puts her necklace back on to please the little girl while Sam smiles watching her. After the school party, towards nighttime, they walk by the riverside. Sam reveals he knew she saved him, but he wasn't sure because she's not wearing the necklace she said she never takes off. He later realizes she was trying to find out if he was after Willow Glen. Cece admits she thought he was after her property for his top-secret land project. Sam laughs and offers to tell her about it. He shares with her a vision he got from a guy he used to serve with. He envisions an entire neighborhood full of small groups of homes like the cul-de-sacs in a community, occupied by a group of people who want to live together and still be a part of a larger community. But he has to keep it a secret because his father only does luxury, and would want him behind a desk selling skyscrapers and luxury penthouses instead. Cece admires his plans and thinks it's brilliant. She would have loved to stay in a place like that if she had a family. However, Harmony Bay has been her family, which is why she wants to develop Willow Glen her way, for their use. Sam would like to see Willow Glen, and Cece promises to take him there the next day. They sit watching the sea, and Sam suggests they visit Sally's place to grab breakfast before heading to Willow Glen. The next morning, Cece and Sam leave for Willow Glen from the B&B where he is staying. She takes him hiking. On their way through there, Cece shares how her grandfather bought the vast land when Harmony Bay was less populated, and it has been in the family until a year ago, when her father went on a cruise and met Vivian. The captain on the ship married them, they came back home, and in less than a month he fell sick and passed away, leaving half of Willow Glen to Vivian. Upon climbing the mountaintop, Sam is stunned at the breathtaking view and the large water body bordering it. Cece shares her master plan to build an amphitheater into the rocks and campsites in specific areas of Willow Glen. She would want it to be her gift to the town. Sam stares at her, sharing her passionate desire and the possible challenges she may have to deal with in bringing her plans to reality. At the B&B, Abigail sneaks into Sam's room to drop off the bongo Santa Cece gave her before leaving with Max behind her. Back in Willow Glen, Cece shares with Sam how they came about the name for the Christmas Eve party, Good Night, which they coined from a poem. She cries, revealing how confused she is about how to organize the year's goodnight party without her dad. Sam embraces and comforts her by sharing how he lost his friends in the army, and the lesson learned after their passing was how to handle the first things they used to do together all on his own. He suggests she try to plan the party since it's her first after her father's passing, promising to be available to help her out. He tries to tell her something about her father but gets interrupted by Vivian, who's calling out to Cece. Vivian expresses her displeasure on finding out that Cece canceled Goodnight after she has spent time cleaning out the attic in search of decorations for the trees. Vivian requests that as partners, they should host the family tradition that her father loved so much one more time. She hands Cece some donations she has received from people who are interested in getting a tree. Cece gets moved and thanks Vivian for not selling her half of Willow Glen, but Vivian reveals she's going to sell it after the holidays. Cece looks at her in bewilderment but feels relief on hearing Vivian reveal she will sell it back to her for $1. She thanks Vivian with a smile, while Vivian urges them to go check out the trees and divide the work to be done among themselves. At the B&B, Max makes his way into Sam's room looking for what to hide. He picks up the letter on the table and heads out with it. Later at Sally's, Cece and Sam are discussing while Sally serves them some food. Ella just pops out of nowhere, giving some documents to Sam to sign while she eats some from the dish in front of Sam. Sam laughs and introduces her to Cece, and she in turn invites her for good night and books a tree for her to decorate. Ella agrees to stay till Christmas so she can attend the event. She informs Sam to expect a visit from his dad, who is not in the Christmas spirit after finding out about his new project. She grabs the remaining pieces on the dish and heads to Sam's B&B, hoping to find a spare room. On their way out, Sam praises Ella's phenomenal instincts in the business and how better she is at it with him and his father combined. But his father doesn't notice because he's bent on making him take over the business. Cece suggests he advocate on Ella's behalf to his father, instead of convincing his father that he made a wrong choice. Ella arrives at the B&B and is lucky to find a room. Before going upstairs to her room, she asks Abigail to check her phone lines, because she has been calling, but it keeps going to the voicemail. Abigail takes Max with her to Mrs. Rogers' shed in search of her phone, which Max might have hidden there. She promises to raise the fence after the holiday to prevent Max from roaming around and taking people's stuff. On finding her phone, she sees Sam's letter with the elephant insignia on it. She takes it along with her. Luckily, she meets Cece on her way back to the B&B, and she hands the letter to Cece. Ella enters Sam's room and finds him laughing at the creepy-looking toy Santa drumming. She stares at him admiringly. She confesses it has been over a year since she saw him laugh as much as he is laughing today. Later on, Sam takes the bongo Santa with him to Cece's photography. He thanks her for bringing him into her family's tradition, but he respectfully declines the bongo Santa gift. Cece shows him the letter Abigail found among the things Max hid. She demands to know why it has her father's stamp. Sam explains he tried to tell her about her father because he recognized the elephant necklace she was wearing. He was there when her father bought it. Sam narrates how he became miserable after losing his friends in combat, and also during his recovery, after spending several months in the hospital trying to walk again. He just wanted to stay numb, so he went into hiding in southern Italy. A cruise ship docks and an American man comes to sit at his table and starts talking to him. It turns out they are both army men, and they lived close to each other, so they got talking. Sam eventually reveals his painful ordeal to the American. The man tells him about his love for his daughter, Willow Glen, and how it healed his soul. So, when they came across the necklace she was wearing in the market, the man had to buy it because he and his daughter love elephants. Sam recounts the promise Cece's dad made to him that he would write to him every Christmas to remind him that he mattered. Cece and Sam get teary as Sam narrates how for some reason, he took a step to recovery just to impress the stranger he met. Eventually, he started working for his father when he received the letter in her hand. He requests to read the letter to her. He reads everything in the letter from his memory, including her father's request to visit Willow Glen and check on his daughter. Cece tears up and his proposal makes sense. Sam confesses that her father is right because she healed his heart. Cece cuts in, requesting he should have told her earlier. She hands him the letter and requests he leave. Cece stops by Vivian's place and narrates Sam's story to her. Vivian realizes why Sam's name sounds familiar, and she reveals she sent the letter some weeks ago on her husband's behalf. She further informs Cece that her father constantly sends Christmas letters to lots of people who need a reminder that they are not alone, and she used to be one of them. Vivian reveals to Cece her story as a rear admiral with the Navy, and how she met her father during the period she was adrift after her retirement. They spent several days talking and eventually decided to book a cruise. Near the end, she discovered that he was sick, but she still went on to marry him because she wanted to be a part of every hour he had left. Vivian confesses that his final gift to her was a home and family she never had. She thinks that's the reason he gave her half of Willow Glen, so she and Cece would have to work together. Cece cries upon hearing these revelations. She apologizes to Vivian for being overwhelmed by her grief and refusing to acknowledge how she made the latter end of her father's life beautiful. Towards evening at Willow Glen, Cece engages in a chat with Penny while they decorate the trees in anticipation of good night. Cece approaches Abigail, who is busy decorating her tree with all the unclaimed items Max ripped off people. She thanks her for handing out the tree fees and suggests Max should be held in federal prison for seeing her scarf amongst the things Max hid. Sam walks by, carrying bags filled with materials for his tree decorations. She requests his help, seeing he isn't paying any attention to her. Sam comes over to help her with her decorations, and she apologizes for how she acted. He drops a little speech, appreciating the fact that 2 members of her family have saved him on 2 different occasions. Cece's eyes are already filled with tears, and she suggests it will be a good time to kiss her if he ever thinks of kissing her. Sam rushes over to her, kissing her passionately. The next day, Otto Calloway walks into the B&B and waves at his son, who is discussing with Ella at a table down the hall. All 3 of them sit together, and Sam shows his father the prototype for his proposed project. He tries to convince his father that Ella would be a better option as the head of development, so he should work on promoting her instead of looking down on her. Plus, she knows their suppliers and other details about the business much more than he does. The father and son get into a little argument on the topic. However, Ella succeeds in shutting them up and getting her uncle to listen to Sam's request. She asks that he grant Sam's desires as long as it will keep him happy. Ella drops her plans on how she intends to restructure the company for her uncle to look through. Seeing no other way out of it, Otto accepts their decision and gets up, bidding them a Merry Christmas while he heads back to town. Sam stops him midway, requesting his presence at the Willow Glen good night party. The Christmas Eve party starts with almost everyone in Harmony Bay present in different Christmas costumes, engaging themselves in various activities. Cece is going around ensuring that everyone is having fun when some people stop her. The man introduces himself as Roberto. He informs her that they got a letter from her dad and they are here to pay their respects to him. Sam soon walks over, joining the little gathering. Cece welcomes them with a smile and introduces Sam to them as one of the persons her father wrote letters to. Cece climbs up to the mountain and thanks everyone for coming. She also requests they count down to Christmas, and the crowd joins in counting down to the new day. The lights come on at the end of the countdown and everyone applauds in the spirit of the celebration, as she wishes a Merry Christmas to all and all a good night. Sam is unable to hide the smile on his face as he stares at Cece. The next morning, Cece and Sam sit on the mountaintop in Willow Glen. Cece tells him of her dad's jokes and how it birthed the name King Arthur, which she calls the camera he gifted her. Sam laughs heartily, and he informs her of the discussions on restructuring the company he had with Ella, and how he will be working remotely from Harmony Bay. Cece jokes that she suspects Sally's burger is the reason he wants to stay back. He confesses the burger is just a part of his reason, as there are other things. He tries to kiss her, but she stops him midway. She rushes off to go take a Christmas photo. Sam joins her and reminds her of her promise. Cece tries to play smart, reminding him that she didn't tell him the Christmas she intends to fulfill her promise. She grabs him for a kiss while clicking on the shutter she's holding.